The Democrats were the ones that were for slavery. The Democrats were the ones that came up with the Jim Crow stuff.
Even if all of that were true about slavery, which party flies the Confederate flag today?
A lot of the Democrats.
You really think Democrats fly the Confederate flag more than
Democrats
Republicans?
yes.
Overwhelmingly, you'll see a Confederate flag right next to a Trump flag. That's just how it works nowadays.
No, I haven't seen that overwhelmingly.
You really? You think, was it Democrats or Republicans trying to take down Confederate statues?
Confederate statues?
Which party was trying to take down Confederate statues?
Domestic terrorism.
What's the statue got to do with?
You're saying that Democrats are pro-Confederate, but weren't Democrats trying to remove Confederate statues?
Why are they doing that?
Because they're anti-Confederate.
No, they're not.
Why are they trying to remove the statues then?
Because they're trying to change the history of our country. You know what? Take your camera and go interview all these black people that are here, okay?
Yeah.
And you ask them.
The three black people that are here?
If you ask them.
You just saw a grown man, a Trump supporter, melt down because he realized that he was wrong about Confederate flags. And something many people don't know is that I've been to over 20, maybe even 30 Trump rallies. I've lost count, and I've debated many of his most staunch supporters all on camera. I want to go through some of these clips and point out the cognitive dissonance, give you guys some behind-the-scenes insights on what it was like being there in that moment, and hopefully we can learn something new. There's a lot of funny stuff to cover. There are even some moments where I'm afraid for my life, where I get grabbed on camera. So let's jump in. Make sure you leave a like, and make sure you're subscribed to the Mockler channel below.
What makes you think Trump will be able to beat Biden next year when he lost to him last election?
He didn't lose to him. We all know that. If you truly believe that he lost to him, you're still believing the narrative.
Yeah.
You're telling me this, and Biden won, campaigning out of his basement.
Yes.
You tell me
like
that
60 people.
You tell me that Biden got 81 million votes, I'd laugh at you.
Trump brought the evidence to 60 courts. Everyone rejected him. The DOJ,
Because it didn't hurt people. That's where it comes from.
The DOJ, the FBI, Bill Barr, people in his cabinet all say there's not enough evidence to overturn the election, and it seems like there's a convenient excuse every time I bring that up. So
You say illegal judges?
illegal judges?
Judges. Ones who are so one-sided.
Wait a minute though. A lot of those judges were appointed by Donald Trump.
Well, but he, just like Barr.
Bill Barr turned on him.
Bill Barr is part of the problem. There's that uniparty establishment that is providing this income and this warmongering fear.
Do you watch CNN?
No, I don't really watch news.
What do you watch? Where do you get your information from?
George Soros feeds me information straight up.
That's your biggest problem right there.
So obviously I was joking around with these ladies at the end here. This lady is even laughing, but there is something very serious that I want to highlight here. You'll notice a theme throughout all of these interactions is that none of the Trump supporters trust any institution, any figure, any court that is not Donald Trump. Donald Trump has successfully sown so much distrust in every single institution around him that these normal American citizens think every single institution is out to get them. There's even a moment where I say, you guys have a convenient excuse every single time I bring up these court cases, and then when I bring up the court cases, they have this convenient excuse about George Soros. It's just conspiracy theory after conspiracy theory. In this clip, I get grabbed by an angry Trump supporter, but I want to show you the lead up to it because I actually have a good conversation with these people in New Hampshire.
Trump will beat Biden this year when he lost to him in 2020.
Well, we know it was rigged.
Yeah.
That's why.
What evidence? What's your strongest piece of evidence for that?
They showed the videos of people hiding the ballots under the tables. They pulled them out. They threw all the Republicans out and brought them out. You just know it.
Trump brought all of this evidence to 60 different courts, and all of those courts rejected him. Then he hired a team of forensic analysts to analyze the election results. They said there's no evidence of election fraud, so he fired them. So does that ever cross your mind?
No, I believe in Trump. I've loved Donald Trump since the 80s. I've listened to him. I've read his book, Out of the Deal.
Yeah.
I truly believe in Donald Trump.
Really?
And I don't believe that he's lying about any of that.
Interesting. So you trust him more than people in his cabinet? Like when someone like Mike Pence or...
I don't like Mike Pence.
You don't like... So
Mike Pence, I think, was a traitor.
What about Bill Barr?
Bill Barr, same thing.
What about Mark Meadows?
I'm on the fence with Mark Meadows.
So even all of these people that we're talking about, Mark Meadows, even all of the courts that Trump brought evidence to, They all said there's not enough evidence to overturn the election.
They've all been bought. They're all been bought. We know that. I think
So there we go, another convenient excuse. This lady thinks that every single court has been bought out.
they've all been bought. And I think they're also afraid, too.
What about the 60 courts that Trump brought evidence to, that Trump appointed the judges? These were Trump appointed judges. So under your logic, Trump appointed bought judges.
No, I think that a lot of people are being threatened.
Oh, now people are being threatened and bought out. There's just a convenient excuse at every single turn. Let's skip ahead to when this Trump supporter enters, gets very angry, and then tries to grab my mic. Notice right here, they have a flag with Trump's mugshot on it.
20 election, 1 second. Look how they treated JF. I'm probably on the FBI list. I don't care. Bullshit. Go take me. I was there for freedom with millions of people that demanded justice for 2020 election. It was stolen. It was stolen. It's a rigged election.
Were you chanting "Hang Mike Pence" with everyone, or what?
What do you mean? You don't say that word coming from your mouth. Say it again.
There's videos.
Say it again. Whatever you just said.
Don't touch me.
Whatever you just said. Say it again.
Yeah.
Repeat what you just said.
That was the one moment where I remember looking at my cameraman and thinking, wow, we are really in it deep. Because it wasn't just this guy, it's the fact that there was a large group of Trump supporters. When my cameraman pans out, you can see we were surrounded on basically all sides. And the thing is, these are nice people, but when you're the only one who's openly liberal in that group saying the election wasn't stolen, you don't know what can happen. I'm kind of in a defensive stance for most of this interview. You can see my leg, like I'm kind of just ready to dip back if I need to, depending on what happens. I also want to show you me talking to this guy about Ashley Babbitt. I think this ends the Ashley Babbitt argument once and for all. Watch.
It was peaceful. They showed the real deal, and it was peaceful. And what about the young lady that was shot?
Ashley Babbitt?
Ashley Babbitt. What about her?
To be fair,
should never have been.
Well, she was a veteran, and she was a veteran, and she was breaking through a window, which behind the window were congressmen.
She was unarmed.
So if I'm breaking into your house through your window, would you shoot me?
If you were breaking into my house?
Through a window.
If you... At night, probably, yes, I would.
So that's exactly what Ashley Babbitt did, though. She broke through the window in the Capitol, and behind the window, there were senators.
Federal building, and there were officers there, and they walked away. They walked away. Tucker Carlson, showed the officers opening up the gates, and they were letting them in.
Tucker Carlson also got fired from Fox News and lost them an $800 million lawsuit because there's text released saying he doesn't even believe election fraud was real.
So these people don't believe any institution again, but they believe Tucker Carlson and Donald Trump, and they think that Ashley Babbitt was the victim. And I feel like you can see this guy's brain reboot in real time when I say, hey, if I broke into your house through your window, would you shoot me? He instinctively wants to say, yes, of course. And that is what Ashley Babbitt did at the Capitol. That was one of the craziest Trump supporter interviews possible. And this one is with Roger Stone's nephew. This is one of my favorites with Alex Stone, Roger Stone's nephew, and it shows how this dude doesn't trust anything around him. It's almost sad.
I guess when looking at these things, you have to weigh the credibility of each source, right? So I want to ask you, do you trust Mike Pence at all when he says the election wasn't stolen?
I don't trust Mike Pence, period.
Let me ask you, do you trust Bill Barr at all when he says the election wasn't stolen?
No.
Do you trust Mark Meadows at all when he says the election wasn't stolen?
No.
You don't trust the 60 courts that Trump brought evidence to?
No.
So it makes me worry when every single court, every single institution, every single person in America that's not Donald Trump or Mike Lindell are lying to you. And I'm going to go back to my point. When you weigh the credibility of these people, do I believe every single institution, which sure, they're flawed, or do I trust Mike Lindell? Probably the institutions that are upholding our democracy, right?
I would say that the institutions that are upholding our democracy aren't upholding our democracy.
Expand on that.
What we see is a rise of communism all over the United States.
What's the definition of communism in your eyes?
I don't have the definition of communism all over. I have the points.
So he doesn't even know the definition of communism. That's one of my favorite ones. This one also happened at New Hampshire. In New Hampshire, just minutes before the one where the guy grabs me. This is one of my favorite debates because this guy is a veteran. This guy is a veteran who doesn't understand the Ukraine situation. And I just want to say, sometimes people in the comments say, Adam, why don't you push back harder? Why don't you debate them harder? But in this debate, for example, and also Also, in this debate with Alex Stone, what you don't see is that their family members are on the other side of the camera listening in. There's usually a big dude listening in. There's usually a semicircle where I'm surrounded. So I remember in this Alex Stone case, for example, I wasn't going to call him dumb for not knowing the definition of communism when his dad was listening in on the conversation, but some people in the comment section were saying, Adam, why didn't you pin him down and really go for the jugular when he didn't know the definition of communism? It's because the dynamics at play are a little bit more complicated. So in this one, again, I have to explain to this veteran why NATO exists, why we need to fund Ukraine, and I think I did a pretty decent job. Watch.
Why do we even have an interest to be over there?
Well, for a few reasons. First of all, Zelensky is becoming more and more Western aligned, and when you have Vladimir Putin, who we can agree is a murderous dictator, right? When he invades his next door neighbor, who's a sovereign country, and tries to grab that land, not only does that violate international law, but it's just not a precedent that we want to set. If we set that precedent, what if Xi Jinping wants to invade Taiwan and then...
Oh, I know. I mean, all of these scenarios are up in the air. But let me ask you this: do you know about when the fall of the Soviet Union happened?
Yeah,
when we agreed not to expand NATO east towards the Russian borders?
First of all, what you're talking about is James Baker and Gorbachev making an agreement that they wouldn't expand 1 inch eastward, but this wasn't a formal agreement. This was just a passing conversation about military expansion. And if you want to talk about breaking deals, Vladimir Putin broke the Budapest Memorandum, which said that if Ukraine gives up their nukes, then Russia will never invade them. Can you see where I'm coming from when I say that if Xi Jinping is looking to invade Taiwan, and he sees that America doesn't care, America will just let people invade their next door neighbor? It's almost...
The cool thing is, this guy in the back is listening very intently. So a lot of comments also say, Adam, you're wasting your time, you're wasting your breath, these people, you'll never get through to them. But for the past 2 minutes that I've been talking, this guy in the back with the cap to the right has been listening very intently to what I've been saying. So to me, that is a win. He is listening to my points. He is being introduced to fact patterns he doesn't hear on Fox News.
It's like an exact same situation. Can you see how they'd be like, okay, we can just invade Taiwan with no repercussions?
Well, I believe that China will invade Taiwan, and I believe it's because of Joe Biden's weakness and his weakness.
So this dude has an incoherent worldview. It is absolutely insane. I want to show you me debating Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend. This is also where things got a little bit spicy. I almost got confronted. Forgiato Blow, the rapper, gets in my face. It gets pretty intense here, but I also think that I did a pretty good job at poking holes in Brian Glenn's worldview. He calls everything rigged, and I say, how can a jury be rigged?
I think Donald Trump, when he was convicted on all 34 counts, what did you think about that? Because
What does it mean, Matt? And none of those 34 counts is worthless. You got a worthless case. You got a case from the FEC.
Why is it worthless?
It's worthless because there was no crime that was committed.
Falsifying business records with the intent of covering up another crime.
But
Michael Cohen went...
That's what they said. That's what you say.
That's what the jury said. The jury handpicked by Donald Trump's lawyers.
I know exactly what you're all about right now. You're not an independent journalist. You're nothing but a Trump hater, and you're out here trying to get everybody to be tripped up. Let me ask you a question. Who thinks these 34 indictments are worth a piece of crap? You know what? They're all worthless. You know that. You know that. You know that. You know that.
What, the 34?
The 34 indictments are worthless.
You're saying that our entire... Wait, let me finish.
I was trying to say, you're saying that our entire justice system is worthless when you say that these 34 counts are worthless. And then for some context, this Forgiato Blow dude got in front of our line of shooting with our camera maybe 3 times in a row, and it's like, dude, we flew out here, we invested the money to get this camera set up, to get these people out here and the equipment out here. We can't have you ruining some of our most important shots. So I push him a little bit to try to get him off. I literally put 2 fingers on him, and this snowflake gets in my face. Watch.
That Meidas supporters attacked the Capitol. I don't want the dude that...
The supporters attacked the Capitol.
His rhetoric directly...
He said peacefully walk to the Capitol.
He said fight. He said Mike Pence didn't do it.
Me again, but don't touch me. Don't touch me, my dog.
So he's trying to act tough on camera, even though he grew up in a rich family. Let's move on to the big Mike Lindell interview. And something I want to point out is the parallel between the Mike Lindell interview and the way Brian Glenn treats me. Right when they realize that I am actually beating them in the debate, they immediately say the same thing. They say, you're not a real journalist. Who are you working with? And then they both turn to the crowd and try to incite the crowd against me. It happens both times. In this case, Brian Glenn incites the crowd and starts screaming. And in this case, Mike Lindell incites the crowd. Just watch.
God bless you all. I know a lot of you were out in the parking lot, and you probably see me getting attacked by a journalist out there. Well, You guys, and I thank you for all trying to get involved there, but this is how we get the word out.
How are you doing today, Mr. Lindell?
Good.
How's the My Pillow business going?
It's been tough because we've been the most attacked company in history.
I want to ask you, how are you going to prevent the Democrats from stealing this upcoming election in the same way they stole the last one?
Well, it's I call it the uniparty. That stole the last election. The Democrats wanted these voting machines gone for 2 decades. I've been fighting for 3 years to get paper ballots hand counted. We have over 250 counties now that have committed to paper ballots in the 2024 election. Is there going to be corruption in it? Absolutely, but we can only pray that our real president gets enough votes to override the theft, so to speak.
Can I ask you about something that worries me personally? So after the election, Donald Trump brought these 62 cases to different courts, and all of them were shot down, mostly due to evidentiary reasons. So why was that?
No, that's a lie you just told.
Why?
No judge in the United States looked at any of the evidence based on merit. All the cases were thrown out on
33 of them were shot down due to evidentiary reasons. The standing cases were people were looking for crazy remedies like flipping states entirely.
No, that's not true. I've got millions of dollars in this. All the cases that were brought up, no judge looked at the evidence based on merit. They were.
What he's saying is completely false, and I even fact check him. Of the 64 cases brought by Trump and his supporters, 20 were dismissed before a hearing on the merits, 14 were voluntarily dismissed by Trump and his supporters before a hearing, and 30 cases included a hearing. And those 20 that were dismissed before a hearing, that's because the people had no evidence at all, and what they were looking for, the remedies they were looking for, would be something like, let's flip the entire state of Georgia from blue to red, and the judge would go, you can't bring a case with that sort of ask with no evidence in the first place.
Kicked out on standing, and they kicked the can down the road. An Obama-appointed judge went to court on January 9th. She said, hey, there's widespread, or the experts say that there's corruption in these machines. She said that.
And I want to end this video on a good note. This may be one of my favorite Trump supporter interactions. I talked to this sweet man, and he tells me that I actually taught him a few things about the current state of politics, and this really illustrates my broader point. There are millions of people out there in the country like this. Not a bad person, not an inherently bad person at all. They just don't have access to the information they need because they watch Fox News, or they had a Republican family growing up and they were primed to think this way. You cannot look me in the eyes and tell me that this is a bad human being.
What about the funding of Ukraine?
No, I don't think that should happen.
Why not?
Because we need to take care of America first.
America first? I agree, but I'd make the argument that funding Ukraine is exactly how we put America first, because a lot of people think we're sending cash bags, but we're sending old military equipment, right? And after we send that military equipment, we get to create new American jobs to restock and repile that, right?
That's a good point.
On top of that, do you think Vladimir Putin's our enemy?
Not really.
Really? Why not?
Because I think he's trying to run his own country, and he's not. I don't think he is a threat to America.
It's okay that he's running his own country, but the problem is when he starts to invade other countries next to him. So we should protect sovereign countries. We should protect our allies, essentially, right?
I agree. So that's like us trying to invade Canada.
And that wouldn't be okay.
Right.
So to piece my argument together, we're creating new American jobs, and in the process, we get to protect an ally, a sovereign country, Ukraine, from, I think Vladimir Putin is a dictator. He's a threat. He's not a good guy. So I think we're protecting America's interests. I think this is exactly how we put America first, right? Can you see that point of view?
That is a very good point. That's a good point. You've educated me a lot.
He then asked me how old I am. We have a good moment where he says, wow, you're 21. That is a great moment. And I say, thank you for listening to me, sir. So it is possible to reach across the aisle and talk to people who aren't bad human beings. Now, of course, many of the Trump supporters I talked to were super far down the rabbit hole. I don't know if this guy I'm going to be able to fix. He shows some cognitive dissonance, but not every Trump supporter is like this guy. And in that same vein, not every Trump supporter is going to be as nice as this guy. So you have to understand that you can't generalize an entire group. And if you learned something from this video, leave a like, comment a blue heart, hit that subscribe button, comment hi Adam, let me know how you're doing today, and have a great rest of your day. Peace out.